That sounds like pop music to me. What do you guys think?
Does sound like pop music.
Sounds like pop music to me, man. Pop music is exciting.
It's weird.
It's weird.
Pop music's weird. It's confusing sometimes.
Pop music right now is in one of its most confusing states of all time, okay? Right? It still talks like pop music, but it dresses like the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, but you have to be careful. If you're too focused on being cool, though, that's not cool.
I never had that problem.
Yeah.
I was never cool. I just gave up a long time ago. Tegan and Sarah, ladies and gentlemen. On Beats1.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, man, come on. It's my job. I don't really want to talk to you.
Yeah,
it's
of
my
course.
job.
I know. I dragged my butt out of bed this morning,
Exactly.
I'll tell you.
Let's just be straight up right now.
I was like, ugh.
No, I've been looking forward to hanging out for a long time, you know, especially now that we have, you know, new music, new things to talk about.
Yeah.
And what an amazing, you know, new album this sounds like so far. I mean, I'm 3 songs in like the rest of the world, and it just sounds like you guys have hit your stride when it comes to fusing the idea of, you know, being songwriters and writing pop music and keeping it fun and danceable and emotional, right?
I think so. It's funny because we just did some shows and we had to go back into the catalog to, you know, work on some of the older songs. And I think I've underestimated, in a way, sonically, like how dramatic the new record is compared to some of our older albums. Even just like song structures, like pop music, it's like, you know, it's deceptively simple. Sometimes you think, oh, this is like, oh, I could write this meat and potatoes, you know, verse, chorus. But I don't know that we were necessarily very good at that until very recently. So it's really satisfying. I think the new record is going to really surprise people. I
think that, you know, listening, because I went through and reminded myself over the weekend of you know, your albums and went through, there's a lot of music. What are we, 7, 8 albums now?
Yeah.
It's incredible. 16 or 17 years of making records. You know,
teleprompter world.
For you guys,
for TN, for sure.
It's the full Michael Stipe, right? You guys have to, it's the end of the world as we know it.
Yep.
You know, but I was going back and I was listening, and I went right back to the very start, and I went right back to Divided. And, you know, the very first thing that anyone really on an album front had kind of had a chance to listen to, right, with that opening little sample as well. What was that sample?
It's our mother telling us. We were, I think, 3 years old, and they'd gotten us a Fisher Price tape recorder, and we fought over it, and we were, the recording is actually very sweet, but yeah, my mom, of course, quips that, you know,
we'll listen to this again when you're 18, and you can you know, hear how big a brats you guys are. It's just so good.
It was really good. I mean, I'm glad that she got it for us. She said we loved listening to ourselves. Like, we would just record ourselves talking, and then we would listen back. So we've always been fascinated by ourselves.
But I think
really humble.
Quote.
They're very humble as well.
Quote. There's your merch sussed.
Yeah.
But
right on this
notice
tour.
I didn't say, though, that I wanted to. We didn't play it for anyone. We were quite content, apparently, just to sit in our room, record ourselves, and then listen back, just the two of us.
But it was one of the most, and I hope you take this the right way, it's one of the most precocious starts to any recording career to take a recording of yourself fighting over a recording device and your mother calling it right at the time.
I mean, this is why we were always kind of horrified. It wasn't that we aren't proud. It isn't that we aren't proud of our early music, but it took a few records for us to find our voices and find our stride and start that real journey. And when I think about those first few records, I guess it's that we were precocious and naive, and we were so young, and we were so excited, and we just thought, well, if you can make a record, which is a feat in itself, you know, write enough material, finish a record and put it out in the world, then you're going to be successful. And it's just so funny because it just took so long for us to get our feet under us.
When was the last time you listened to Divided?
A long time ago.
I mean, the recorded version?
Yeah.
I don't even know.
Good.
This is my tape recorder. Yeah, talk like that. So when you're 18 and you're listening to this, you can hear what a brat you were.
I can't believe how young my mom sounds.
It's so young. That's how it started.
Oh my God.
1997, big year for Tegan and Sarah.
Crazy.
I mean, I honestly cannot even think of a time that I've listened to that probably in the last, like, 15 years.
That's why I had to do it, because the journey has been so incredible from that recording right through to this new album and a song like Boyfriend. I think it's important, you know. You really are on the precipice of something with this new album, it feels like, and it's just cool to go back and remind yourself that you were young and crazy with a guitar and singing those songs like that.
Absolutely. I think we have like a deep respect for the early part of our career, because we were literally just speaking about this 10 minutes ago, about how much, though those years were very difficult, those were the years that ensured that we would always remain humble and hardworking and always have this connection with our audience, because we recognize how important that audience is. They're what keep us going all these years later, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And of course, it's important that everyone continues to remind you that you are humble folk singer-songwriter duo.
They sure do.
Despite the fact that you could be making more modern sounding pop music right now. Let's talk about this new album album, and building up to this moment, coming off the back of Heartthrob, which was another important moment in your career, and realizing you wanted to make a new record. Did you know that you wanted to carry on in that tradition, that you had more to achieve with those sounds and that feel?
Absolutely. I have all the respect in the world for the music that we made, but I know for me, especially even more than Tegan, I just was so ready to be like in a different band. I didn't necessarily not want to be with Tegan, but I was looking forward to trying something totally different and not feeling beholden to any of the stuff that people knew us for. And Heartthrob was just the beginning, and by the end of making that record, we had really started to hit our stride with Greg Kurstin, who produced most of it. And I was already anticipating, okay, I can't wait to get back in the studio with Greg and see like what we can really do once we've once we've sort of like gotten comfortable with this music. And touring it we toured for 3 years with that record, and I think we were both just itching to get back in and put those new skills to kind of work. And so I feel like this record is the perfect sort of, follow-up to Heartthrob, but I think it's more muscular and exciting than Heartthrob was.
Yeah, and lyrically and thematically as well, I think you've really gone for the pop jugular.
Yeah.
I mean, look at a song like Boyfriend, which is just, I want to know how you came... At what point and what was the environment in which you came up with that particular hook and you were able to make the distinction between... Can you hear the bass, by the way?
Yeah, I'm like, what is happening?
I guarantee that's Will I Am right now. Perfect. Showing off.
He probably heard Tegan singing Divided, and he was like,
he's trying it.
He's like, I need to throw a beat down immediately.
If we're going to battle, we're going in. Take this bass. Now, he'll be showing off. He'll have someone very important in his studio right now, and he'll be showing off. I guarantee it.
Love it. Keep it up.
I want to know about the context of that song, because when you come up with the idea, the contrast between, boyfriend, best friend, and you throw that awkwardness into a pop song, and you get it right. And you get it right, which you got so right. You must have been a moment when you cracked that and thought, oh, this is a good one.
Sarah, did you pop some champagne and do a handstand in your studio?
Did you high five a mirror?
You know what's so crazy? I mean, sometimes you know and sometimes you don't. And this was one that I didn't really know. It was a pretty simple, straightforward pop track that I had very simple instrumentation, and I was sort of fooling around with the idea and what key to put it in, and I got sick of the track and I kind of put it away. And then it was when I got into the studio with Tegan and Greg and I played it for them, they were both like, this is a pop, like this is are you even considering not putting this on the record? But I don't know, sometimes you're just too close to it. And my big concern with pop music is always like, how do you make something that is gonna reach a lot of people without being dumb? Like how do you say something simple but have it have multiple meanings or whatever? So I fooled with these lyrics a lot. I wanted it to sort of be really simple, but I also wanted it to have like texture to it. Even like the lyric in the bridge about the crying game. Like I know a lot of people right now listening to pop music don't probably know that movie from the 90s, but I remember it. Like I remember the Boy George song, and I remember watching that movie with my family and feeling really confused about what was happening. And because of the way that film sort of plays with gender identity and sexuality, and but in this really smart way, I wanted to kind of do the same thing with this song.
You smashed it with this one. I always think you can always chalk up a really great pop song by having a creative space.
Yeah.
And you've created a creative space in your chorus. You've made the space a hook. That bit where you go, and I'm terrible with lyrics, like I'm awful. So I'm sorry if I mess this up. But when you kiss me like your boyfriend, then you go, but you treat me like your space. That's good. That is good space right there.
I love it. Thank you.
Silence as a hook, ladies and gentlemen. Tegan and Sarah live on Beats1. This is the aforementioned Boyfriend.
Tell you that I love you, that I can't hold back.
Space.
Secret anymore.
Oh, that's a good one. That is a good one. I mean, when you're going to end it like that, Sarah, come on. You're just like, I don't want to be your... Wait for it. Secret and reverb. Rap.
This is great. I would like you to do this for all of our songs.
No, all of them are that good.
They're not. You're right. Okay, you saw through.
There's a lot of songs, guys. I couldn't say you have 100% track record, but
no,
you're doing pretty good.
All right, thank you.
This new album is already, like I said, sounding fantastic. Love You to Death, which is out June 3rd, coming through worldwide. And we'll talk about all the touring because, my God, there's a lot of touring. That's terrifying.
North America.
Really scary.
It's like it's 1998 all over again. But I want to talk about some of the themes on this record because this is a pretty heartbreaking sounding album to me. There's a lot of kind of real home truths, I think, as well on this. It's easier to write heartbreaking songs that blame everybody else. There's a lot of reflection, it would feel to me, in what I've heard so far in this record, like, why am I doing this? What's going on here? As writers, as people who and musicians who come together and you have to deal with these themes, and you're dealing with this kind of emotion despite the fact that the music feels upbeat, it must be quite taxing at times.
I think the challenge, probably why we like pop music, but the challenge just as writers throughout our career has been how to pair really dark themes and emotional introspective work with upbeat music, as obviously it's progressed and gotten to the point now where it's like pop music, straight up pop music. But to try to balance those two different ideas is a really exciting challenge in terms of our artistry. Like, it really pushes us. Like, how can I say the deepest, darkest thing but make you feel good while you're listening too, if that's what you want? And I think that with Heartthrob, Into Love You to Death, we really wanted to push ourselves to kind of create a clearer path to the edginess of Tegan and Sara past. So I think some of the feedback from some of the super fans and some of the diehard fans who've been with us a long time was that they felt that we maybe had smoothed over some of the rougher stuff, and we wanted to have that but still be able to be played on mainstream radio and to compete on the main stage. And I think that for me personally, I think that this was the record where I started to think back, maybe feel not regret, but definitely start to feel responsibility and accountability for my actions in my relationships, and not just my romantic relationships, but all of my relationships. And I think that I thought I wanted to take less advantage of those relationships. I'm not necessarily saying that I felt that in the past I had used people, but I think that you have to be very careful when you are turning your heartbreak and your relationships into material that you're then getting up on stage in front of thousands and thousands of people and benefiting financially and emotionally.
Adele said something very similar when I spoke to her. There are liberties which artists have to take, but at some point, whether you do when it's actually in person, when you see someone and they're like, "Look, I'm really proud of you. I think it's great, but don't expect me to tell you it's easy to hear these songs."
It's tough, and I think that's why I think for Sara and I, we're at that point in our career where, there's definitely a moment right now where I think we're being more introspective. So for me, a lot of this record is not about a relationship. It's about how I behave. It's about my behavior. What mistakes have I made? I've always, every single song I can think of that's been popular with our fan base has been about me playing the victim. I'm not the victim, and I haven't been. And I don't know how I got away with, this perception of myself that I portrayed into the world that I was the victim. But I've been I've been the jerk. I've been the jerk, and I've been the person that complains and sort of creates this sad, weepy picture of myself.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
That would be fine for you to come out and have that realization, and we would all high five you and well done. You've reached a real point. You've finally grown up. But what you've done is you've actually committed that to this album, Love You to Death, on a song called 100 Times, which is about as bigger admission of being a jerk as you possibly can get. It's a tough one, that one, to listen to, I think, if you've been through that and you put someone through that, because what you're saying is, I tried to get out of this situation, but I didn't really try hard enough. That's the bottom line. Fail. Here's your grade, chump. You flunked.
I went crazy thinking I was wrong at least 100 times a day.
You gonna be okay over there?
I'm fine. Don't worry about me. That's a track called 100 Times by Tegan and Sara, which is taken from a brand new album called Love You to Death. And that's a very, very honest record. As siblings who are so close from birth and have to share experiences, and of course there's mystery and magic to these kind of relationships, and varying degrees of intensity that come with that. Obviously, it really helps when it comes to writing music. It's been a huge part of your chemistry towards getting the music out there in a way. But do you feel that pain when the other one's going through it?
I mean, I think that, especially in our adult lives, Tegan and I have had lots of ups and downs, and there was times, I think we had a record that came out in 2007 called The Con, and I remember, Tegan was going through a terrible time, and it's weird to get songs like, she'll send me a song like Call It Off, and of course I'm thinking like, this is fantastic, but then you're also thinking about, it's so sad for Tegan how crap her life is right now, but I'm so glad because she's writing such, poignant songs. So I think it's tough because sometimes we're actually going through a lot of the emotional ups and downs in our lives through the music, which sounds very cheesy, but it's like a lot, we don't,
it's there for.
It is. And I think that that's very authentic. And it's interesting because even like the song you just played with 100 Times, I don't think that, Tegan and I have to always talk about our relationship or the things that have gone on, the conflict that we've had or the tension that we've had. But it also feels like, you know, there is something healing about writing a song and then standing on stage and singing it together. You know, like there's sort of it's a beautiful bridge, I guess, in a way. You know, it's like, yes, this is about conflict that she and I have had, but then we sing it together on stage. And I don't know, there's something, I hope it doesn't feel like we're exploiting it, but I also feel
exploited.
It's feeling
but you did that to yourself.
No, but
I think it's funny that you opened this all playing Divided, which was a song about our relationship and about the struggle that Sarah and I felt, because we were very, very, very lucky, and in high school would already, you know, courting record labels and that sort of stuff. And it was scary because we had never really ever been able to declare anything else as our passion or anything else that we wanted to do. Neither of us felt there was a clear path ahead of us. And when music arrived, it felt like there was finally this clear path, and I felt such joy and excitement. And Sarah was very unsure initially. And so, yeah, it can be very, as Sarah said, it can be very healing to write a song about that relationship, but then it borders on exploitive when you are standing on stage. Everyone's like standing holding each other, and you're like,
heartbreak is
I know.
In music. That's the point.
Yeah.
Look at this message right here. This is from Taryn. Literally got me crying over here after playing 100 times, but I can't stop listening. There it is in a nutshell.
Yeah.
I think as human beings, there's something deeply cathartic and satisfying about witnessing other people going through something you're going through.
Absolutely.
You know? And I think, you know, sometimes when I look out into the audience and I see people cry, like I've seen people cry, you know, during certain songs in our set, and I'll think like, the thing that they're tapping into is very unique and totally different than what maybe I wrote the song about, but that we can sort of let that, I don't know, like that can be pulled out of people by a melody or a certain lyric. It's really special.
That's what's special about it. We all get to live, you know, vicariously in our own light through, you know, the one that you shine on. It's brilliant. We got a premiere we're going to play very soon called Stop Desire. It's going to be our next record, which we're very excited to share. Another step in the right direction for this album for fans. June 3rd for the full record, Love You to Death. But first, we have to talk about this Bon Jovi style world tour, which you guys are about to embark on. I know artists like to tour, but it's been a while since I've seen a full A4 piece of paper in Arial font size 8 taken up by tour dates. It's incredible. So the live show feels good.
Yeah, it's going to feel good. I mean, that's the first leg that we've announced, which is mainly North America, and there'll be more to come worldwide. We'll be announcing all of 2017's dates, you know, as we get later into 2016. But you know, we pride ourselves on being a live band. I think with Heartthrob, we did a lot of really crazy stuff. We opened for the Black Keys and the Killers, and then we went out with Fun, and then we shared the stage with Katy Perry to wrap up the record, and we loved it. All those experiences, I mean, I wouldn't trade them for anything. I think Sarah and I, we absolutely want to learn all the time. We never want to get complacent or boring. We never want to stop stretching ourselves or elevating our band. So we take tours like that to learn. And I can't think of a better group of people to learn from. But this record, Love You to Death, is about headlining. It's about reestablishing ourselves as the live act that I think a lot of our core audience has fallen in love with. You don't just come to see Tegan and Sarah to hear the hits. You come for the relationship between us, and you know, to stand with a community of people that are very, very different from you, but that you share this one thing in common. And we want to take that as far as we possibly can with this record. So there's going to be a lot. Get ready for Bon Jovi, aka Tegan and Sarah, 2017.
Get ready, Montreal, the metropolis. Get ready, the Pabst Theatre in Milwaukee. Get ready. I mean, I'm new to this country. I didn't even know there was a Queen Elizabeth Theatre in Vancouver.
We're part of the Commonwealth.
We are. I am actually. I'm a New Zealander. I am very much a part of the Commonwealth right here. I should know that fact.
Yeah.
That is a very long and extensive tour throughout September, October, and November in the United States, just to start after, of course, some shows, including Australia, which will be nice. You know, get down to Australia.
It'll be awesome.
Get some decent coffee.
One of our favorite places.
Fantastic coffee.
Great coffee.
You love coffee in
Excellent
Australia.
eggs.
Yeah. We've got a lot of relatives in Australia, actually.
None of them working.
No.
Totally recession-free zone.
Yeah.
God bless mineral wealth. Unbelievable. Seriously, you just have to go 3 or 4 miles to find somebody in Australia who's doing a job. Everyone's just literally drinking coffee, having a great time. They've got it sus. Lifestyle, beach and park. They've nailed it. Okay, listen, we've had a blast hanging out with you. We really have, and it's all, you know, it feels too short. So, I mean, you know, when you roll back through, you know, the West Coast, we'd love you to just come hang out. Just kick it.
Thank you.
We'll play other people's music as well, and we'll have a good time. We're going to premiere this record right now to say goodbye. It's a song called Stop Desire from the album Love You to Death. Just give us a few words about this before we share it.
You know, I mean, you can take it at face value. It's about that moment, that spark, that fire you feel when you meet somebody, and just wanted to write a pretty straight ahead pop, let's get it on song. But I think also I'm very fascinated with the idea of desire, the idea of constantly wanting something and standing in that moment when you have everything you ever wanted, that last thing you desired, and yet you still desire something else.
Way too much information. If I can give you one bit of advice next time you do an interview about this song.
Getting it on, everybody.
There it is.
Let's do it.
This is a straight up let's get it on song.
Not here though.
They got another one, man. This album is shaping up, right? June 3rd, Love You to Death, the brand new album, The 8 from Tegan and Sarah, and that is a Beats1 exclusive. Beats1. It's called Stop Desire. We'll play it again at the end of today's show. So tell your friends they got 29 minutes to sort themselves out. Here's a repeat of today's world record from Hani El Khatib. The song is called Paralyzed.